All right, hey everyone, and happy Friday. I'm David Schmidt, and this is the Lunch Break webinar. Thanks everyone for wanting to impact yourself and your household. Wanting to be intentional with your income is not always easy. Regardless of your situation, whether you haven't had debt and you're worth millions or you're bleeding financially, it's a requirement we practice being intentional with our money from this point on. Yes, that even means if today's payday and you had big plans tonight. But seriously, it's time to be intentional from this point on. The lunch break webinars is simply a platform where we can address what you want to discuss. If we don't do your subject this week, we'll get to it soon, next week or the week after. Each lunch break webinar, we'll have time for Q&As. You will type your questions, and we will tackle all that we have time for. And again, today's lunch break webinar, we're going to answer your questions and further discuss building wealth. If we have time to get on other things, we can, but today's niche is more focused on building wealth. So let's get to it. Before we get into some of the practical side of things and before we really zone into the weed control things, I want to kind of zone in and for you to really self-evaluate and self-analyze where your heart's at, where your attitude is at on how you view money. Again, before we launch into some of the practical side of things, I want to touch more of a 30,000 foot altitude level and more of a theory. But where's your heart at? Self-analyze. Take a few seconds to kind of just how do you ask yourself that question. How do you view money? You know, money does not corrupt you. Money only reveals to you who you really are. You'll see in the bullet points, if you're greedy, more money will make you greedier. If you're a crook, more money will only make you more of a crook. If you're generous, well, more money will only make you more generous. So, you know, a lot of the distorted and toxic approach of money is evil. It's not so much what the money is doing itself. It's more of what we are doing to ourselves with the money. And some more on money is not evil, but being a slave to the money is. Again, if you're poor, more money will make you poor. And you're asking, well, how is that the case? Well, we all know someone who's either received a bonus from commissions or something as simple as scratching off a lotto ticket or has been the employee of the quarter and received a bonus. We see how quick that money can go away. But if your mindset and your heart and your attitude is at a poor spot, the money's just going to make you poor. If you are full, more money will make you more of a fool. If you're a crook, more money will make you more of a crook. So again, zoning in on and wanting to kind of stay here for a few more minutes on where you kind of evaluate and how you kind of analyze what just the definition, what money means to you. I know inside of the church, we can hear different opinions of money, or just inside conversation around the library or wherever we may be in the coffee shop. There's different suggestions on how we should view money. There's so many different beliefs, but again, take some time to kind of ponder on that concept of how you view money. And before we move forward, I want to keep pounding that home that, again, the money is not evil, but being a slave to the money is. Don't feel guilty about being rich. Instead, be proud. Now, what does that mean? Don't feel guilty about being rich. Instead, be proud. Well, let's dive into point one. Becoming rich is just a result of practicing and behaving with money over a period of time, having a plan, and hard work. So again, we see sometimes wealth inherited through previous generations, or wealth that's just been created through hard work over a period of time. We see different forms and different cases of how people gain wealth, gain riches in the concept of money. But again, be proud of making sacrifices. Be proud of being intentional again over that period of time. Be proud of giving giving or having the self control installed in your way of thinking, the self control installed of your business, or the self control installed of your church, or the self control that you just run your household budget, or you and your spouse, or if you're single by yourself. But be proud and being intentional and behaving with money over a long period of time, because we hear regularly that anything that we want, hard work is going to take to get it, and it's never really a sprint or a short race to get to it. It's a marathon, but at the same time, enjoying the marathon, enjoying the race that we hear Paul talk about, but enjoying the race and staying focused on that race. So when months don't go our way, or some months do go our way, but when they don't go our way, continue to reevaluate your budget, continue to reevaluate y'all's goals, or are we spending too much? Where can we cut down in areas? But some months, like we talked about last week, the radiator blows. Some months Johnny's got to go school shopping and we didn't budget enough for it. Different things, life things happen. We zoned more about on that last week, but it's not if life happens, but when life happens. So again, becoming rich is just a result of practicing and behaving with money over a period of time. And then you'll see also in Proverbs 10:4, I believe it was Solomon, talks about, he who has a slack hand becomes poor, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Again, take that for how you want to take it, interpret that how you want to interpret. I know there's many of different versions. There's King James. I'm sure there's a King Jim out there. There might be a New Standard. All different types of translations. But take that verse on how you are. But again, the one who has slack hands becomes poor, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. I believe God wants us to be rich. I believe God wants us to prosper, because when we have these things in our life, we're able to glorify Him, because, oh, by the way, it's all His anyways. So He wants us to have these things that He has produced, that He has manifested, that He has brought to fruition. But again, He wants us to behave with it and pass those tests and pass those trials and tribulations. And over time, we become not only just rich, but we see the progress. Money is just money, not good or evil. It's just money. Some of you out there who may have joined or may have gone through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University course, he does a great job in there talking about money's like a brick. We can use this brick and throw the brick through. I believe he uses a bank and do what thieves do, or we can use this brick to build a hospital in a place that needs a hospital. So money is just like in that example of brick. It's just money. It's just a brick. It's not good or evil. Again, it's what we do with it. It's how we acquire our money and what we do with that money that reflects back to us. If we are good, evil, greedy, crooked, foolish, or generous. It's how we acquire it and what we do with that money that reflects back to us. And again, we have many, many, many beliefs and different considerations on what riches are and if it's good or if it's bad. But continue to remind yourself, continue to have the prosperous mentality, the prosperous attitude, the prosperous heart on being confident and being okay with it, just simply being rich, because you are making sacrifices over time. You're being on a budget for only going out to eat once a week. You're doing these things that a lot of people won't see, or you don't care for them to know or see about, but you're making these sacrifices of not being able to go on certain vacations while you're trying to get out of debt, or just these different things you just have to flat out say no to over time, back to how we behave and back to hard work, obviously, too. But those behaviors that result in making sacrifices equals progress. And those daily decisions that you make or that we make over a period of time show, and whether it's good or bad. And that's regarding our money or any other area in our life. So be confident and be thankful for your progress. If you're in a tough situation right now and you just are looking for a plan, we can talk more about that plan. here in a couple of weeks, that will be the topic of our webinar, is just the plan more specific. But if you're bleeding financially, need a plan, stay in touch this week. Facebook me, email me. But if you're wealthy, or if you're prosperous, or if you're if you're what you call rich, and you just need some accountability, or you just want to kind of have a better understanding, and have an okay of it's just flat out okay to be rich. And I know we've hit that point enough, but I want you to know that there's a guy named Solomon in Proverbs. I believe that was him who spoke of this in Proverbs. And if we look into either, I think it's First Kings or Second Kings, where God mentions that Solomon will be the wisest man to walk on the earth. So I'm not saying these things. It's just these people that walk before us say these things, and I want you to believe these same things as well. All right, we're gonna stop, and I got a question emailed to me. I'm in a whole bunch of credit card debt, but I have a lot of money in the savings. What do I do? Okay, great question. You know, again, before we just talk into being practical with it, I want to kind of address the plan. Before we just take any money out of the savings and pay off credit card debt, first off, how much money are we talking about in the savings? And second off, your plan, your behaviors, how you're behaving with the household income. Because if you allocate all that cash and take all that cash and pay off your credit card debt, are you just going to get right back in that situation again of being in a whole bunch of credit card debt, but not have as much savings to get yourself out of that situation again? If you can start getting on a plan, whether you're married or single, and being accountable with each other the first few months weekly, and addressing that plan and addressing that budget, and then over time, just meeting monthly, and then you watch your spending habits, you watch your behaviors, just try attacking those debts using your income, whatever your income is. You didn't give me that information in the question, but whatever that size of a shovel you have, whatever that income is, grab the bull by the horns, watch your expenses, cook some crock pot meals, go goofy golfing, walk on the beach, do those kind of things for entertainment, and really allocate your income on dominating that debt. And over time, as that debt is getting dominated, we can free up that income and continue to add to our savings to get us an emergency fund. And then after that, we do other things with it. I won't get too deep into what the plan is today. But again, your question was, what do I do? I would first start getting on a plan, attacking life, attacking each month with that plan. And once you can practice those behaviors, and you got yourself in a routine of behaving with spending a certain amount of money at the grocery store, a certain amount of money each week. Once you get on a plan and get on those sacrifices, let's watch that debt fade away. Okay, good question. Again, if anybody else has any more questions, feel free to email me at david.schmidt@financialstorehouse.com. We'll get to as many as we can, and if we can't get to them all today, I'll be able to respond to them throughout the week. And also, too, engage in our Facebook page, ask any questions on there as well. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit more on hard work plus sacrifice equals progress. We kind of talked a little bit about it last slide, but there's no secret formula. There's this content, this information that you're hearing right now, that you're hearing today. Those things have been in your life before. Being on a budget, or hard work, all those things your coach used to tell you, all those things your teacher used to tell you, or your pastor. These things aren't mind-blowing, complex, get-rich-quick things. These are just things we need to hear at a regular basis. Being intentional over time, hard work plus sacrifice equals progress. So, success. I like how Bishop T.D. Jakes says it. If you get a chance, read as much as you can on this fine gentleman. But success is not an accident; it's intentional. So, granted, there's always this circumstances where someone just struck it big on the lotto ticket, but the 99.9% of other people on this world, it's not an accident. It's intentional. Again, it's back to those sacrifices you're making in your daily decisions on how much are we going out to eat, how much are we eating breakfasts out with other friends and family, or how much are we going out to lunch with coworkers or dinners with friends. All those things are good and okay, but let's just make sure they're within the budget. Okay, so I like how Bishop Jakes puts that. It's not an accident. It's intentional. And over in Hebrews, you'll see Hebrews 12:11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. But later on, however, so that's where it gets fun. No one likes discipline, but later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. You see all them folks in the gym in January and February, and I'm guilty of it too. We make New Year's resolutions and we fade away. But that January and February on that treadmill, that discipline is not pleasant. Or if you're a long time runner and you're running 5 miles a day in a hot August afternoon, that discipline is not pleasant. But it, like they say in Hebrews, it's painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So again, hard work, discipline, and plus sacrifice, the sacrifices that we make each day equals your progress. So again, we started off this lunch break webinar kind of just self-evaluating, analyzing your thoughts, your mentality, your attitude on what money means to you. So this third bullet point on this slide, to change your mindset is hard. I mean, some of y'all parents out there, grandparents out there, or sons or daughters, if you're a son, it's hard to change your parents' mindset. And if you're a parent, it's hard to change your kids' mindset. So if it's hard to change your immediate family's mindset, it's hard to change anybody else's mindset, especially our own mindset. But don't continue to suffer and try to find some way of, feeling good about it. You really just have to look at your mindset, look at how you view things, look at how your character is each day. Do we make mess ups? Absolutely. Are we going to mess up? Absolutely. But again, that hard work over a period of time, making sacrifices, that's the mindset, that's the attitude, that's the heart and the direction we need to progress towards. Or we can continue to make excuses for ourselves or for our behaviors and suffer and try to find some way of feeling good about it. And again, we have to have that prosperous mentality, that prosperous behavior, and those characteristics over a period of time. All right, the final point to zone in on today at our lunch break webinar. Thank you all for hanging on. It's a good way to close out a work week and go into a weekend. Some of y'all are working on the weekends. Thanks for joining us on Friday afternoon at lunch. But culture. Stop and reflect on your generations before you. So we're going to wait just a few seconds, 5-10 seconds. Just stop and reflect for a little while on your generations before you. Okay? Going down memory lane for a little bit. Now stop on your network of relationships and reflect on your network of relationships. The people that you're around majority of your time, family, friends. Take a few seconds to reflect on your network of not who you want to hang around with, but who you are with daily. Whether it's your wife, your husband, your brother, your sister, your coworkers, your friends, your hooping buddies, your whatever it may be, your card playing buddies, your domino buddies. Reflect on those people that you're around. Now, those people you're around create your culture, and that culture creates or has a factor in creating a lot of the characteristics that are in you, and that's, again, impacted by the culture you have been in and currently in. Now, are you blaming the generation or the two generations before you on how you are? No, let's not go down that path. The generations before us have done a lot of great things and have done mess ups like our current generation. We all will mess up. We're human. I don't want to zone in on that, but I'm just zoning in on the culture and seeing what characteristics were installed in your household. Were y'all currently just getting enough to get by, or did you have the prosperous mentality? But again, those culture, those people that make up your culture, is going to impact your characteristics. Now, it's never too late to add value to your character and culture. It's never too late to filter the network of relationships you're around. It's never too late to filter out the people that you might feel like it's affecting your culture. And again, it's never too late to shift that mindset, to strive for excellence, and to engage in those things that we talked about before, to have progress, to be rich. Okay, so again, that's kind of the 30,000 altitude. Now, just to kind of get into some of the practical and the we control of things about building wealth. It's some of the same points we've heard from our grandparents, our parents, any mentors we may have. It's about consistency over a period of time. Okay. Again, we'll dive more into the plan at another webinar, but just to run it down real quickly, before we start allocating money, if you're out there and you're sitting on a whole bunch of money and you want to know what to do with it, here's what I believe in. Or if you're bleeding financially and you're going to continue to make sacrifice and get to a point where you can progress and invest, here's what we want to do. Let's continue to get on a plan, to find a partner to get on a plan with, and work out that plan of being intentional with our money. That's also called a budget. And once we're on that budget, we want to save up $500 to $1,000 as quick as we possibly can. Some of us already have it. You just earmark it for it. The next thing we want to do is we want to eliminate and attack all of our non-mortgage debts. Get them out of your life. The biggest thing that stops your income are obviously your expenses. Your biggest wealth building tool is your income. And again, that goes back to what we talked about before, hard work. You got to work hard, create an income. Can't do any of this stuff we're talking about without an income. So once we free up those expenses, now we are freeing up the income as well. Once we free up that income, we're adding to our emergency fund. We want at least 3 months of our expenses that you have on your budget, multiply that monthly budget times 3, and add a little cushion if you can to it, and get you an emergency fund when that transmission goes out, not if, but when that hot water heater goes down, not if. And now once we have that emergency fund, now we're in a spot to start building wealth and investing for retirement, to saving up and paying cash for a second home for adding to your wealth. So again, if you're in a situation where you're looking into buying a home and you have a whole bunch of debt, press pause. Buy some time and rent. Let's get ourselves out of this mess. Let's eliminate our debts. Let's get our 3 months at least emergency fund, or storehouse fund is what I like to call it, so that we can have that cash for when the hot water heater goes out. Now, once we're into the point of investing and building wealth, I don't care what the market's doing. Right now, we were just at record highs. We're going back down. 5 years from now, 5 months from now, 5 days from now, it's going to go back up. And guess what? It's going to go back down again. And guess what? It's going to go back up again. But only you can control what you put in each month. And again, if we got to clear up some mess first, let's clear up some mess first. It might take you 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Let's clean up that mess. And then when it gets to a point where we're on step 4, we're going to start allocating at least 10 to 15% towards retirement. And again, you can only control what you do each month. Allocate the same amount month after month after month. As your income grows, that percentage that you're allocating towards retirement, that number grows as well. Not the actual percentage, but the number that it makes up. If you're doing 10% of $1,000 a month, well, that's your amount you're allocating. If it's 10% of $2,000 a month, then that's what you're allocating. So just only thing you can control is how much you do consistently. Consistently add to that account. When the market goes down, you'll be buying more of those mutual funds and more of those stocks at a lower rate. When the market goes back up or your stocks go back up, you'll be buying at a higher rate. And everyone wants to buy low, sell high, and play the market, but just be consistent over a period of time, enjoy making those sacrifices, enjoy having that discipline, and enjoy watching the progress. And next thing you know it, you'll have a grandson or a granddaughter or a son or a daughter watching you, and watch what happens to the culture, watch what happens to the generational effect that's taken place.